Hello, my name is Jordan Sly, and I'm the librarian for Anthropology here at the University of Maryland. First, let me welcome you to UMD, despite the strange and difficult circumstances we find ourselves in. Beginning a new graduate program is difficult in normal times, so now it must be doubly so. I hope you're still able to feel the excitement of beginning this new phase and embarking on your professional career. This short video will give you a very quick overview of some of the library's main spaces, places, and people, but with an eye to what is currently possible in our heavily restricted mode of operation. In previous years, the Q&A section of the presentation was often the most helpful, so please do feel free to contact me anytime at jsly@umd.edu. Again, that's jsly, J-S-L-Y, at umd.edu, and I'll put a little thing here at the bottom with that. So we're going to take a look at the main library website. I'll show where the databases live, how to search for books in our system, talk a bit about our interlibrary loan options, and at each step explain the COVID method for access, right? How things have changed with this, with a real emphasis on how to get the material fast or to find workarounds. We in the libraries have been working hard to maintain a level of service through all of this, but there are some aspects of traditional library operations, such as materials lending, that have become very difficult. As you'll see, we have found workarounds, but it is worth noting where these obstacles stand in order to plan for your semester accordingly. In other words, it's very important to understand what it is we're dealing with as we head into this semester, to start thinking about what it is you'll need for the end of the semester. That's true even in normal times, but now even more so as we're dealing with long delays, shipping problems, mail service issues, all sorts of different problems at the moment. So, do keep these things in mind. And I know today is like the first day, and I'm telling you already that we can't help you and so on. Please take heed that the librarians are here, myself and my colleagues. We're all here to help with all of this difficulty, and we're all in sort of extra geared up mode here at the moment. So please do feel free to reach out to me and to us for other questions and things. And I'm more than happy to try to help you. There will be some challenges, I have to say, this semester in finding material. So please contact me, get in my email box, and we'll start conversations as early as possible for all of this. Okay, I'm going to transition away from camera, and you'll just hear my voice from here on out as I kind of walk through some stuff on the website. So it's very nice to meet you, and I hope to meet you in, like, for real, actually meeting you, not just talking at you through a strange little eye, unblinking eye that's staring at me. And yeah, I look forward to a future time where we get to meet. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is our website, lib.umd.edu. And this website houses information, collections, materials, etc. for all of our 8 libraries across campus. You can see all these listed up here. The main library is the McKeldin Library, and this is the home of the humanities and the social sciences at UMD. And this is probably your main library as well. Our other libraries house special collections, such as those within our STEM library, our art library, our architecture library, our archives and our special collections, and our performing arts library. As you can tell, there's a high degree of overlap in the material that you may need, and so things you may want to have are housed in different libraries across campus. I'll explain this further when we look at the catalog, but the material from any of the branch libraries, with the exception of the special collections and archives, of course, can be delivered to one of our libraries that's more convenient to you, including our branch library at the Universities of Shady Grove in Rockville. This is helpful if you, like me, are centered around a particular library or park near one, something like that, or live near one. You can simply indicate that you want to pick up materials there, and you'll be able to do so. This is a very helpful feature, I think, especially as we're all remote at the moment and operating in different parts of the state, country, perhaps. If you're living in Rockville, then the Shady Grove Library may well be a lot closer to you than College Park. So it may be worth trying to pick up materials there. Now, it's important to note that even though I showed you all of these libraries and everything, in order to search for materials within them, you don't have to click on these links. These links bring you to information about the individual library and some of our services and things within them. But in order to search for materials, you simply use what we call WorldCat here. This is our system that we use. It's called WorldCat. You use and search from here, or you can search using the advanced search, which I recommend. I'll go through this in more detail here in just a moment. I want to highlight a couple of quick things still here, namely this big yellow box talking about COVID-19. As I mentioned in my introduction, the libraries have been trying to adapt to the COVID crisis in the best way we can in sort of uncertain times, not knowing exactly what to do. You'll see listed a few different places that we're offering curbside pickup. So I will explain this a little bit more here in just a moment. But the first landing page for really anything you want to know about our response and the ways to still get materials is up in this yellow bar, and you can click this button right here, this link, Library Services during COVID-19. So you'll see a couple different places. It says McKeldin and the branch libraries are closed, and that's true, the buildings are closed, but services are still available, including, as I mentioned, curbside pickup for books, returning books, picking up books, using interlibrary loan, and some of our other scanning services and things like this. So closed is kind of a relative term, especially if we're taking a more expansive view of the libraries in general, which can include all of our online services and all. So don't worry about this so much, especially now that we're entering phase 2 of reopening, or we've entered it. Now we're well into phase 2 and we're looking at phase 3. The closed is again increasingly becoming a relative term. So I'll go through each one of these ever so shortly, but I just want to kind of make sure everyone is understanding where we are. As I said, we're in phase 2. This includes curbside pickup, but does not include public access to the buildings. So that's important. What this essentially means is that there's someone who can hand you materials, but beyond that, there's no access into the actual buildings for things like photocopying or scanning, or physical picking up books or browsing for books and things like that. So it's not ideal, but it is where we are at the moment. We also have a lot of access to materials through stuff like our HathiTrust Emergency Temporary Access Services, which I'll look at here in just a moment. We're heading in to phase 3, but we don't have a date associated with this yet. We're still assessing the safety concerns and everything. Okay, just a little bit more on the curbside pickup, as I know there'll be questions on this, and I want to make sure that it's clear. It's a very easy process. It's just a little bit cumbersome in terms of like back and forth with email and things of this nature. And it's 9 to 5 Monday through Friday kind of operation. So unfortunately, we don't have weekend hours for this, where we normally are open on the weekends in sort of normal times. I'll show you this when we get into the catalog, how to actually select all of this and do this step where it says select UMCP curbside pickup. This is a new option if any of you are returning from undergrad or anything back to UMD. This is a new option, but effectively all you do is select, and again I'll show you this in practice, the request item, which is normally how you would select something for interlibrary loan or through our USMAI borrowing. But from now on, it also includes curbside pickup. That's all you have to do to get started, is just select that as a button, and it will give you some options and things to select who you are and all this. That's essentially all you have to do from the beginning, and then you'll get a follow-up email in which you have to schedule an appointment. And I know all of this feels a bit silly, but we're keeping everybody safe through this. So again, we have windows in which you can make it a thing, and you need an ID and a face mask. Just as the email the other day from campus indicated, masks have to be worn at all times. A quick note on location. I don't know how many of you are familiar with McKeldin in general. I hope you've had time to come onto campus before all of this, when you were making your decisions and looking at schools and things. But I know that's not always possible. So it's a little hard to tell exactly where it is that you're supposed to go to pick these materials up. The only thing I can really say in this format, because it's difficult to show, is that it's not the main entrance. It's one of the side entrances of the building. So this is the main entrance of the library. This is where, if you've seen our big testudo, this looks out onto the mall this direction. So these spaces out here is the mall. The main administration building is down here at the end. The fountains are here, that kind of a thing, right? So this faces the sort of main part of campus. Around this corner, so here's Jimenez Hall here and Arundel Hall back here. So if you're coming from Stamp, which is up here, this is so silly, but this is where Stamp would be. You kind of come down the hill right here. So it's this little side entrance, and this Google map kind of shows it a little bit clearer, but it doesn't give you a very good zoomed out view. I can kind of walk you back a little bit. So we're kind of moving back towards Stamp. Here's Jimenez, and if we go ever closer, here's that main entrance over here. So it's sort of right over here to the side. So I hope that's helpful, and it's this sort of shady little back corner here. It's not a trap. It's where you pick up books, despite it looking like a trap, and that's how you do that. So that's the curbside pickup. Before we go too much further into all of this, I want to highlight a couple of things, especially that come up during the normal questions during these sorts of sessions. And an important one being, how do you access materials remotely when you're off campus? When you're on campus, everything is pretty authenticated and easily logged in. When you are off campus, there's a couple more steps to go through, but it's all very, very simple. Your sort of university password and ID, meaning the way you log into your email, that same password and the two-factor authentication app and all of that is how you log in to our materials here. So when you try to access something beyond the sort of surface level click, you can see some listings and things like that. But the moment you try to actually access the material, it'll ask you to log in. And this will be that duo-factor authentication app or system, however it is you've chosen to use that. That'll be your way to log in. But importantly, there's a couple of things to do that kind of make life a little bit easier. So anytime you click on a database, it'll ask you to log in. But another way that you can kind of search in the open internet, as well as within our system, is to use what we call the Reload at UMCP button. So in this little search bar right up here at the top, I'll highlight that. Go ahead and type in Reload. And then you'll find this button here, the Reload button. Now, all you do with this, as it says here for any of the browsers, you just take this and physically just drag it up to your bookmarks bar. And that's out of the screen for where I'm recording, but you just drag it up and put it in the bookmarks bar. Drag it and drop it in, and you'll have it. Now, the real benefit of this is that when you're off searching through Google Scholar, for example, or you're searching, just regular Google, or however it is that you're searching, kind of out in the wild, this will allow you, when you come across an article from JSTOR or something like this that you haven't gone through the library to get to, you hit this Reload button, and it will reload with our credentials and all. And you'll have access to that material, provided that we actually have access to that material through our subscriptions. So this is a really helpful button, one that I use constantly. Whenever I'm doing searching, I use this button. One of the main takeaways that I hope you can get from this is that when you're searching for material, especially research material, as you get towards your dissertation, which is going to be highly specialized, we may not have everything that you're looking for immediately. So never pay for anything, at least without talking to us first, because there's a high likelihood that we can get you that material either through interlibrary loan, if you're having trouble there, or through purchasing, depending on the material. So this button allows you to kind of get some access into all of that, right? So if you find that JSTOR article, that's perfect, but it says pay $34.95 in order to access it, try hitting this button first, and that will link you back to the library and help you out there. Now, quickly speaking about Google Scholar, there's nothing wrong with using Google Scholar. It's not quite as effective or efficient as searching through the library, which I hope we can talk about. If not today, then at a future session, some of the more advanced features on how to use all of this. But I do want to make sure that you all know how to do at least one thing, which is it is really worth your time to make a profile in Google Scholar. You can set some preferences and things that make life a little bit easier, recommendations, subscriptions to search term notifications and things like this. But one thing I want to highlight first here is if you're in Google Scholar, go to this little hamburger menu here and type or click on Settings. And what you want to do here is set your library links. And what this does is now when you are given your search results for your given search, if we have that material, it'll automatically link through. So it'll show up on the side that University of Maryland has this material. So you just type in University of Maryland and search. And importantly, it's going to come up with a bunch, and it's actually on the second page, and it's this one here. University of Maryland Libraries find at UMD. This is the one you want. It's on the second page of results, and so that's the one that you're going to want. Okay, going back to the main website then, lib.umd.edu. I want to quickly show you kind of where the more graduate level help is found throughout here. So you'll find when you come to this website, you'll be given a prompt to start a chat. This is for quick answers. If you just need help finding something, if you are having trouble with the website, having trouble with the service, something like that, please feel free to leave a chat in there. And there are other ways to find help as well, which I'll highlight here in just a moment. But these are all found within the help button here. Really, it's just, to be frank, it's just the Ask Us, which brings you to what is effectively a FAQ kind of a system, right? So here's some FAQs, or you could leave, it's essentially an email for the library that will put it into our chat queue or our answering service. So if you have a problem with something, you can ask the libraries there, or chat with us, as I mentioned here. But more importantly, I think, is this I am a button up here at the top, this link. And at University of Maryland Libraries, we classify graduate students as researchers. So as you can see, faculty, graduate students, upper level undergraduates, etc. Well, for all of the more in intensive services and things that we offer, you'll want to go through this portal. So go up to researcher. Now again, unfortunately, much of our offerings are at least changed, and we're not offering the same services as we normally do. This is typically our place where we offer services through our Research Commons. And we are going to be holding a number of workshops and things throughout the semester. But again, often these are in person, and now they're going to be offered online. We offer things like our Common Quandaries workshop series. These are workshops intended to help with components of your research. So, for example, I'm going to be doing a session this semester on tidy data and managing your data, and sort of designing a project with data in mind and outputs in mind, things like that, and how to kind of work with that data in an organized way all the way through your project. I'm going to be giving that workshop. Other workshops are on things like citation managers and how to keep that sort of thing organized. So it's library-related graduate level skills that we offer throughout the semester. Through here, you'll also find things like our media lab, which is a recording space. And again, normally in normal times, we actually have a recording studio and so forth. But these are places where if you're working on a video project, you have space and equipment to do so. As well as podcasts and other types of media like that. And we also have our spatial data center, including our GIS center. Now, this group is available, but again, it will all be virtual. So if you're doing any kind of mapping projects and you need help with GIS tools and other sort of data sets and working with human data, things like that in this kind of a context, you can contact them. Additionally, we offer statistical consulting, and this is also available now, even though normally it's in person. These sessions are offered virtually, and you can still make appointments with them and all of this. You just click the schedule appointment button. This is a really nice service, especially for introductory students who are just entering and may need to take a stats class, or have statistical analysis, R programming, things like that as a component of their research, but not quite, either not remembering some of the ins and outs of how to do all of this, or need a refresher, or are still learning some of this and need some help, some extra support in a methods class or something like this. These are good people to talk to. One thing else I want to show you are our subject specialists. We have our subject specialist directory. There's a number of ways to get here. Again, I went through I am a, and then to researcher, but you can also go to help, meet your subject specialist, etc. And our subject specialist directory will give you the names and contact information for all of the librarians who can help you. It's usually best, I find, if you click the subject tab here, and this breaks it down by department effectively. Everybody who is associated with all of these different departments, they're the librarian who can help you with not only assignments and things like this, papers, organization, research, but also, again, kind of putting you in contact with some of the people for more statistical-based consulting or something like this. There is a librarian for pretty much every discipline here in the UMD libraries. And sometimes you may want to speak with, sort of a combination of us, and we're more than happy to work with you on that. When you click on a name, for example, it will bring you to that librarian's page. I clicked on myself as to not pick on my colleagues. And in one of these profile pages, you'll find all of our contact information, our physical location, which in normal times would be our offices located in each of the libraries. Right now is online, and so you can reach us primarily through email. Our phone lines are, again, our office phone. Some of us have our phones forwarded, but it's really best to just try email, and we could set up a phone appointment if you'd like. Like everybody else, I tend not to answer unknown numbers because they're all scams now. If you leave a message for me and give me a number, I'll call you back. But I try to just avoid those, so it's usually not going to happen. But most importantly, you can schedule a consultation with us here. And what this does is it gives you sort of my calendar for the rest of the week and when I'm available, so you could book an appointment with me at any of these times, for example. All of the librarians have this set up. So feel free to talk to any of us this way, to reach out to us this way. This is probably the easiest way, and a lot of students like this too because it avoids email back and forth. If you prefer to email me and want to make a personal connection that way, that's fine. We'll chat either way, and it will be a personal conversation. It's not a robotic thing, even if you use this schedule button. So please feel free to use any way that's best for you. Okay, so now I'd like to try to show you how to use our catalog for searching all the materials that we have access to. Now, I use that term on purpose, the things we have access to, because searching through this portal or through our advanced search, which is the same thing, when we search WorldCat, we're searching all the materials that the library subscribes to, through our database subscriptions and things like this, all of our books, physical books, all of our physical media like DVDs, CDs, as well as our available online videos, our ebooks, journal articles, everything. Quick caveat there. Searching for journal articles is easier through the individual databases, but you can browse pretty easily through WorldCat. So if you're kind of doing some early exploratory searching, oftentimes WorldCat is the best place to go. For specified searching within a particular discipline, it's more effective to search within the individualized databases. I'll show you that next. So let's go ahead and search in here. Let's do the advanced search just to make things a little bit clearer where we're searching. But whatever you type in here, it'll search generally first as a keyword, which can be helpful. So if you type in a topic here, such as thick description, for example, then you'll get articles, movies, everything with that term. But what we're going to be looking for more pointedly is some specific works. So let's go to our advanced search here just to make sure. Again, when you type in something like in that main search, it's going to look at it as a keyword. which can be helpful, but it can also be misleading. So, if, we're going to be looking at the interpretations of culture, which is a series of essays, famous essays by the anthropologist Clifford Geertz. And if we type in the interpretations of cultures here, it's going to be searching for all of those individual words. And so it will probably come up with our book first, but it will also come up with a bunch of junk too. So that can be a little bit tricky. A sort of trick there is to put your text inside quotation marks. That means that you're telling the system to look for exactly the phrasing and the order you're looking for the words. But even that can be a little bit wonky at times. Because we know we're looking for Clifford Geertz, we're just going to go ahead and search for him as an author. We could also search for him as a subject. And as we'll see, there are a lot of books about Clifford Geertz because of, he's very famous and all. So it can kind of go either way. It depends on what it is that you're looking for specifically. Oftentimes you're going to want to do effectively both. But for this particular instance, we're going to look for author. So we're just going to do Geertz. Now, you could do the full name. You could do Clifford Geertz, and you'll get results. This name, is searchable enough and easy to find enough. But if it's a more common name or a less recognizable name, etc., then you may want to kind of alter your search a little bit. But what you'll find quickly is that if you get the right author, you can just click on the author's name as well, and that'll bring back all of their works. So that's a helpful little step in here. So sort of like if you can identify the right Clifford Geertz or the right Joan Smith or whatever you're looking for, then you can click on them, and then it will just isolate their particular works. Now, quickly, we can do a couple of things, such as isolating down to just books, just print books, just chapters, just articles, so on. This is helpful depending on what it is that you're looking for. At the moment, we're really just kind of browsing. We're doing a search to see what we can find about Geertz and by Geertz. But if in the future that is more helpful, then that's something we can do. Now, I've been talking about the interpretations of cultures, which is one of his most famous works up here. And you can see a couple of things. One, we don't currently have this book in most formats. It's been checked out, right? This indicates that it has been checked out, meaning that, especially at this current moment, it is sitting in somebody's office, probably behind a closed door, or in another graduate student's or undergraduate student's home office or something like this, right? It's somewhere else. So unfortunately, we don't have immediate access to this. And unfortunately as well, this link for ebooks, which you'll see on a number of books down here, will bring us not to the actual ebook, unfortunately, for this particular work. This will bring us to HathiTrust, which in general is a good place to go for books, but what you'll often find is that we only have limited search available, which is incredibly frustrating. Now, if we look at some of the other books in here, we'll find ways to get access to things. So this ebook, for example, we can see that it's through EBSCO, and this is great. So we can go ahead and click on that, and that'll bring us to the listing for this book in there. And this will give you some of the information about the book and all. But sort of strangely, you have to click on this PDF full text, which is a little bit, you'd think you'd just say like read or something, but you click on that, and it gives you access to the book. And you can page through, you can scan through, whatever it is you'd like to do. It makes it available. You can change the size and all. You can skip directly to individual chapters. And importantly, you can also download individual chapters. So this gives you the sort of limit of what you're able to do. So you're only able to download about 100 pages. And then you go ahead and click the chapter you want to download, or the individual pages, whatever. It will also ask you when you do download it what format you want the citations to be in, and it will print along the side here the citations of what the book is and all of that, which is very helpful for keeping track of everything. And it also keeps the amount of pages you have to download down. So That's how you look at the ebooks. We have a lot of ebooks, but we don't have everything. It can be a little bit frustrating, but it is worth trying to take a look at. Now, if we look at a book like this says it's on the shelf and it's available, which means that this is requestable for curbside pickup. In normal times, this means that it's on the shelf in the library. You can go to this call number and pick up the book. No problems. Check it out as you normally would. Right now, it means that it's available for pickup. So if we do click on this book here, and we want to do the request item button, if you recall back, we were talking about curbside pickup. I mentioned the request item. You just go ahead and click that. It'll normally ask you to log in. I've already logged in. You do your two-factor authentication, log in. It'll pop up with the sort of standard University of Maryland login information. You enter your email address, but without the, it's just sort of the first part before the @ symbol. In my case, jsly, so I just type in jsly. Then I'll ask you for your password. Enter your password. And then it'll also ask you to indicate your affiliation. So you say University of Maryland, College Park out of a list. Then you select your pickup location. So we want to do UMCP curbside pickup and hit submit. You'll then get some, a validation saying that, this is in the queue. And then you'll get an email asking you to schedule a time to come pick up the material. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to come in and get this book. So I'll just trust that you can go ahead and do that. If there's any problems, of course, though, please email me and I'm happy to help you with all of that. One of the last things we're going to look at today is the basics about the databases themselves. We don't have time, and it isn't really necessary to go through all the ins and outs of advanced searching and everything with the library yet. Classes are only just beginning. There's plenty of time to get into all of this. As you have questions, please feel free to email me. I want to make sure that it's clear that you can email me at any time for help with this stuff. We can set up an appointment to do a Zoom call, whatever, and we can work through these issues. Specifically, I like Zoom because I can share my screen and kind of work with you through that. It makes things a little bit easier, so we can look at that. But let's look at the databases now and kind of move on from there. So again, we've searched in WorldCat and we saw a bunch of stuff, and we saw how we can kind of limit to articles and all, which is very helpful. But really, when it comes to doing more disciplined and effective research, really one of the best places to go is straight into the databases. And the real reason is when we're searching in Google, something like this, we're sort of searching everything in the world. Although in some ways we're really just searching everything within Google World, which is, sort of for pay content and things like this. It's a lot of, there's freely available stuff for sure, but you're pointed to a very specific set of resources. You'll find, most of the time your first result is Wikipedia, followed by Amazon, that kind of thing down the line, which isn't always the most helpful when you're really doing research. With Google Scholar, this is better, right? You're kind of searching more within an academic world, but it's a less discerning academic world than we'll find in the databases. Google Scholar wraps in journals sort of regardless of their quality, and there's a lot of bad journals that exist out there that are either predatory journals that just publish any old thing for a fee, just old, outdated journals with weird sort of weird content that is no longer relevant, but is weighted just as heavily as more relevant content to your search. So it can really get muddy fast. There are ways to play with it, like I've described a little bit, but really, it's not as discerning as some of our, paid for databases. There's a reason they cost money, frankly. Now, so the way we can get into those and to get to our database finder is to click on this databases tab. And then see this button here, this link right under here. It's kind of hidden, but it's one of the most important links on the whole website. So if we click on that, this will bring us to our database finder. The database finder is an incredibly powerful tool that houses all of our databases for every different discipline that we offer here at Maryland. Hopefully you see where you fit within this. It's important to remember that, we're going to be searching in anthropology for this. Your particular topic might have more in archaeology. It might fall into architecture, art history, any number of these databases, history itself, so on and so forth. just because it's in this pocket doesn't mean it's the only place to search. That's kind of an important lesson with a lot of the library literature, especially as disciplines become more multidisciplinary and so on. It becomes increasingly important to kind of branch out into other fields where that hasn't always been the case. But especially when it comes to methodological papers and early papers and things, a lot of it's going to come straight from anthropology, and your professors will want you to read more about methods and everything stemming directly from anthropology. So we're going to look there first. So if we go into anthropology, we'll see this kind of yellow box here. What this is our best bets, right? These are the databases that we, in this case I, have determined to be the ones that are most likely going to be of use to you, especially in early searching. In particular, I want to draw your attention to these two, anthropological literature and Anthrosource. These are very good and interesting databases, and they're very different as well. So anthropological literature is an index, but it also houses a great deal of content. And Anthrosource is the main journals published by the American Anthropological Association. This is a little bit more global in scope. The anthropological literature is a little bit more global in scope in terms of where the journals are coming from. But both are very, very good and critical to anthropology research. If we go into anthropological literature, see a couple of things. One, you may recognize this particular format for other databases. So it's important to always check to make sure you know where you're searching. So this one says we're searching within anthropological literature. Great. We could also choose a different database if we wanted to. They all have the same look and feel. So it's important to know that you're searching in the right spot. Going back to that earlier point, we're searching, we went from Google to Google Scholar, and now then when we were on the main libraries page, we're sort of searching within sort of University of Maryland world. So we have sort of the world, and we have roughly scholarly world. Then we have the library world, which is the sort of more discerning and collected, curated version of that, right? It's everything that the libraries, not just ours, but other libraries in our system have decided is important. Now we're within the databases, and we're kind of further within anthropology world. So now whatever we search here is going to be kind of relayed against our original term, which is anthropological literature. We're within a more focused group of literature when we're here. So now whatever we search is going to be within relation to that overall term, which is anthropology. That's very helpful. As you'll see when you search in other big searches, you have to be specific about what it is that you're looking for. Here, now we know we're kind of within this closed set of literature, and we're not going to find stuff that varies too far. This is helpful, especially as we do a term like Goetz. If we just search for this out in the wild world, Clifford Geertz is very famous, so likely he will come up, if not first, very close to the top. But who knows? Maybe there is a physicist with that name as well, or something like it, and that pops up and it clouds the results in Google Scholar or something like this. So this just helps kind of focus in a little bit. So if I click on Geertz, I'm just going to keep it with that. And I'm going to search, again, I can kind of specify if I want to search for articles about him or by him. I'm going to say him as the author. I want to look at articles by Clifford Geertz. So if I search there, and now it will bring me all of my results and everything. I'm not going to go too far into all of this. You will have done this before, likely, so we don't need to dwell too much. Again, if there are any questions, though, please feel free to contact me. I just want to make sure it's clear we know how we're getting the information. So, this PDF full text is exactly what it sounds like. If you click there, you'll be given the text and the option to download. Which is very helpful. It's just not displaying on my system at the moment, but that's how you get the thing. You can also click on this button here, and this will give you sort of the details about it, which can be helpful as you can help isolate maybe the topic that you're really looking at. Oftentimes with research, your sort of first search isn't what you really are getting into. So maybe what we're really talking about is Native American studies and witchcraft, and we just happen to be in and around this area, and this is our way in to it. So this can help us kind of bring back some other terms and things. we're not going to dwell on this. We're going to kind of leave it at that because we're going long in this video. But I hope this is useful, right? The basic idea is just like with the catalog searching, you want to make sure you know where you're searching and being deliberate in your search in order to get there. Now, if we go to Anthrosource, pretty much the same things apply. Again, this is a powerful research database, and it searches the American Anthropological Association journals, which there are a number of. You can see them all listed here. And you can browse those as well and set up notifications to know when a particular journal is publishing. So if you're interested in linguistic anthropology, for example, you can set up an alert to know when the new issues of that come out. So now we're going to go to the search. And we're going to search within Anthrosource journals. We're going to go to advanced search, like I always recommend. And let's just look for, kind of following on with that Geertz example. Oops. We'll look up Hopi, the Hopi people. And we can do the same kinds of things we were going to do. It's a little more limited here. I think I'm just going to look for this either anywhere or as a keyword. I'm going to do keyword, and I'm going to search. And just like with the other database, you have access to things. It will say full access or give you some indication that we do or don't. If we don't have access, just like in the other database, it will give you another link to say request through interlibrary loan, and that's your best bet to getting that information. Now, again, there's a lot more we could talk about powerful searching and things like that. I think that's best saved for another day. So if you have any questions at the moment, again, please give me an email. I'm happy to respond to emails, set up an appointment with me. As you're kind of getting rolling with your classes and all, feel free to set up an appointment with me, and I'm more than happy to help. Here's my information again. Please get in touch. I look forward to hearing from you. I hope we get a chance to meet in person, and that at some point I can come and talk to you, maybe a course of yours if you're teaching, something like that, to work with your undergraduate students, all that kind of stuff. Welcome to University of Maryland. Again, I'm sorry this is such a strange time to be coming in, but again, I do look forward to meeting you at some point in the future. Okay.